Point number 3. Next week is TNA's first ever heavily advertised yet barely mentioned live Impact show. TNA has made it known that they hope to do a 1.3 rating with this show. Well, no offense to TNA, but at this point I really don't see that happening, and the reason is very simple. They are treating this live show like an almost complete afterthought. Yes, they had the announcers mention it a few times in passing throughout the show, but so what? There hasn't been a single commercial or a single promo or a single graphic to advertise this show at all. And aside from saying that the fans will get to choose Awesome Kong's opponent in her title defense, and aside from teasing the return of Sting at the end of the show, they have done nothing to prepare themselves for this. Nothing. And unless they've got some seriously huge tricks up their sleeves for next week, that live show is going to feel just like another generic episode of Impact, and it'll probably draw a generic Impact rating. 1.1, possibly 1.2. I don't think a 1.3 is realistic at this point at all, and TNA have themselves to blame for that. You know, this live show should feel like Clash of the Champions, but instead it just feels like business as usual. Okay, first things first, for those of you who have been wondering what the hell happened to my channel as FoolKiller99, I am just as confused as you are right now. At first I thought my account was suspended by accident, then I thought it was some technical glitch that removed my videos and my favorites, then I thought it was hacked by the same person who hacked my email a few days ago, and now I have no idea at all. I do know that while all my videos have been taken off my old channel, they are still floating around YouTube, and you can find them with the search function. Aside from that, I'm still pretty much in the dark. I don't know what's going to happen with my old channel. All I know is I can't access it right now because my password was changed. Worst case scenario, I may have to start from scratch with this new one, and that is discouraging, but I didn't put 3 months of work into this thing to stop now. So if you subscribe to me as FoolKiller99, I'm not using that account anymore. I may get it back in the future, but at least for the time being, I am now FoolKiller100, and that's all I've got as far as that goes, and you'll know more when I do. But anyway, on to business. This first ever live Impact show. Long story short, I thought this was a very strong show overall. Did it have the Clash of the Champions feel that it needed? Not exactly. But this was definitely one of the best Impacts they've put on since expanding to 2 hours, and damn it, this is the kind of show TNA should be putting on every week. First of all, the matches. All of them were solid to very good. There were no squash matches, no time fillers, they were all a little longer than usual, and the overbooking was kept to a minimum. They started off with an X Division Escape qualifier. I really wish Alex Shelley had gone over here. He's such a better worker than Johnny Devine. But I think they might be doing something with the machine guns in a tag match for the pay-per-view like they did with Destination X. And Shelley pretty much dominated the match anyway, so I guess I can live with that. LAX, they won their match for a change. They looked really strong, which was a definite improvement since they need to be built back up as legit title contenders. Booker T and Robert Roode, easily one of the better matches these guys have had. The women's match, again, very solid. Unfortunately, I was hoping Roxy Laveau would win the fans' vote. That did not happen, but this was very good nevertheless. I'll take women having a kick-ass wrestling match over women throwing water balloons at each other any day of the week. SmackDown. And the main event, easily the match of the night. It ended on a feel-good moment with Sting getting the win for Team Christian. And then they had a great cliffhanger to lead into next week's show with James Storm returning and laying out Sting. And that ending was really exciting to me because that's a feud that I've actually wanted to see happen for a while now. Because, it's Sting, the good Christian father, versus, the horn dog booze hound James Storm. I'd really love to see a program develop between those two. I'm thrilled that they seem to be elevating James Storm finally, because I'm a big fan of his. As I've said before, that guy has been really underutilized lately, and I'm really glad that he's getting the higher profile role on the card that he deserves. Second, the show had a hot opening. They started the show off with action, not with a lengthy promo or 20 backstage segments. Impact starts, and there's Booker T and Robert Roode brawling in the crowd. That's how you open Impact. It made me think back to that awesome primetime special that they did back in 2006, where the show started with Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels right in the middle of beating the hell out of each other. So right there, I knew this was going to be a good show right off the bat. Third, there was good storyline progression, and all the main angles and feuds for the pay-per-view are being pushed very hard. The build-up to Lockdown has been such a huge improvement over recent months, and it shows the TNA really does actually know how to sell a pay-per-view when they put their minds to it. Fourth, the audience. It was awesome. The Impact Zone was absolutely packed, and they were hot for the whole show. There were also a bunch of sports celebrities in the crowd. Give it a more of a special feel to it. Joel Zamaya, Frank Trigg, James Ferrier, Robbie McAllister. I feel kind of bad for. His WWE career is pretty much screwed now, if he even still has one. And I guess it was sort of a classless thing for TNA to do to the guy, but business is business. I mean, did you really expect them to not take advantage of something like that when the opportunity fell in their lap? I mean, if he didn't want to be filmed in the crowd and be seen on a TNA show, he shouldn't have been there at all, because he must have known that something like that could happen. So on a whole, I thought this was a very strong show. Not totally perfect, though. There were a couple of things that bothered me. I did not like the Karen Angle interview. I'm not a fan of hers, you guys know that. I'll give her credit for showing some aptitude for the entertainment side of the business, but I think less is definitely more where she's concerned, especially seeing as how she's not even a wrestler. I mean, she gets more mic time than everyone in the Knockouts division put together. That's not right. The second thing I did not like was this Kurt Angle training session thing. And this is a concern I have about the main event of Lockdown, because according to Kurt Angle, he and Joe are going to have some type of MMA-style match. The problem is that TNA have not clarified exactly what that means. Is it going to be a straight-up worked MMA contest, or is it going to be a wrestling match with some MMA elements thrown into it? They haven't said one way or the other, and they really need to so that the fans know what to expect from this match. Also, TNA had a great chance to subtly advance this Kurt Angle AJ Styles storyline here, and they didn't take it. A great way to do this would have been for Kurt to take down Tomko, but then be really surprised when AJ gives him a hard time. And they did sort of do this, because AJ did a lot better against Kurt Angle than Tomko did, and Kurt couldn't really get anything going with AJ, which the audience recognized. And there was some friction between them at the end there. The problem is the announcers did not play this up at all. I mean, I don't think they even mentioned it. And they really should have. That was a missed opportunity right there. And finally, welcome to live TV, TNA. There were several production glitches throughout the night. If you saw the show, you know what they were. They were definitely noticeable and a little distracting, especially when the Sting lights kept going off at completely random times. But they weren't like huge glaring errors or anything, and they didn't drag down the show in any major way, so I don't think it was anything to get too worked up about. Now as for the ratings, a lot's been said about the disappointing 1.0 rating that the show did, but personally, I was not surprised by this at all for two reasons. The first reason I talked about in the clip that started this video, so I'm not going to get into that again. The second reason is a little thing called the NCAA basketball tournament. So Impact did a 1.0, which, if memory serves, is the same rating they did last week and the same rating they did against the World Series. And the ratings went up throughout the show, which has not been the case in recent months. So all things considered, this could have been a hell of a lot worse.